Stephanie White, her wonderful, wonderful, wonderful coach, was asked about her winning this award, this honor. What do you think Stephanie White did? Do you think Stephanie White was excited? Do you think she was happy? Do you think she was overjoyed by the fact that her star point guard, nonetheless, while injured, just was finally given a real honor by an organization like ESPN?
The Indiana Fever have the most valuable asset in sports right now, Caitlin Clark. She fills arenas, shatters viewership records, and has the entire world watching the WNBA. But the one person in charge of polishing this diamond, Coach Stephanie White, seems determined to keep her in the rough. From shocking press conference comments to baffling on-court decisions, a disturbing pattern has emerged that fans can no longer ignore. It's a pattern that points beyond simple coaching strategy and into something far more personal, leading millions to ask a horrifying question: is a coach's professional envy going to sabotage the biggest star the league has ever seen?
It looked like Caitlin Clark looked like she got a little hurt towards the end there. Is there any update on her injury?
No update. Just felt a little something in her groin, so we'll get it evaluated and see what happens from there.
Yeah, just kind of to follow up on that, looked like she was kind of grabbing at her right groin area. Is that the concern?
Yeah, that's the one she was grabbing at. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, I mean, that's it.
Style now, would it? I'll let you listen in on what Stephanie White had to say when she was asked about this after they got drop kicked by 21 points. I'll let you hear. You be the judge.
Before Clark even laced up her sneakers for a professional game, the shockwaves of her arrival were felt across the nation. The Indiana Fever, a team long accustomed to dwelling in the shadows of the league, was instantaneously thrust into the national spotlight, becoming the hottest ticket in all of sports. Games that once had rows of empty seats were suddenly selling out in minutes. Opposing teams began moving their home games against the Fever from their standard arenas to massive NBA stadiums just to accommodate the unprecedented demand. This wasn't just manufactured hype, it was the Caitlin Clark effect, a tangible, measurable force that was single-handedly elevating the entire sport. Viewership numbers didn't just climb, they shattered records, reaching heights the WNBA hadn't seen in over 2 decades. She was the golden goose, the winning lottery ticket, the kind of player that franchises spend generations praying for. For any coach, this should have been a gift from the basketball gods, a career-defining opportunity to ride a tidal wave of success and popularity. Yet the excitement emanating from the coach's office felt strangely, unnervingly absent, and that silence was about to become deafeningly loud.
Stephanie White is a garbage human being. I am done trying to defend this woman in any way at all. So if you are white, Stephanie White was asked about Caitlin Clark getting WNBA Player of the Year. For those who don't know, she won that award at the ESPYs, and she got WNBA Player of the Year. So Stephanie White, of course, as her coach, is going to be asked about that award. So let's listen.
Welcome to Keep the Vision, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification for your boy. Appreciate all the support we've been getting. Listen, man, this Caitlin Clark versus Stephanie White thing could turn ugly, and it could turn ugly fast, y'all. I have to be straight up with y'all. Stephanie White wants to play the polar opposite way that Caitlin Clark wants to play. The Indiana Fever got a big win yesterday, and it was a tale of 2 halves. The first half, the Indiana Fever played that Stephanie White style, that grinded out, ugly, puke basketball.
The first major crack in the facade appeared under the bright, unforgiving lights of a routine press conference. Caitlin Clark had just been honored with an ESPY award for Best WNBA Player, a monumental achievement for a rookie still navigating the treacherous waters of the pros and a clear signal of her league-wide dominance. It was a moment tailor-made for a proud coach to gush, to praise her star, and to share in the glory. The question was lobbed to Stephanie White, a perfect softball for her to hit out of the park. The world leaned in, expecting a rave review, a celebratory soundbite. What they got instead was a masterclass in professional indifference. With a flat tone and a noticeable lack of any genuine excitement, White simply stated, "Yeah, I mean, obviously she continues to get new awards." That was it. No smile, no glowing praise, just the verbal equivalent of a disinterested shrug. In that single chilling moment, the quiet whispers of tension erupted into public shouts. The internet exploded. This didn't feel like a coach protecting her team from media hype. This felt like a person who was fundamentally, personally bothered by her own players' staggering success. It was the first undeniable public sign that something behind the scenes was deeply and profoundly wrong.
And, you know, Caitlin is so fortunate, as well as all these guys, really. I mean, that they don't know anything any different than the WNBA.
Steph, I don't know if you noticed or heard about it, but during the game, Caitlin got honored as the WNBA Player of the Year in the ESPYs. Just what does it mean to have her impact so far? I mean, there are a lot of really good players in this league, and she got honored as the best player in the league by the ESPYs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she continues to get new awards.
So Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever fans are having a meltdown about they god Stephanie White that they wanted so bad, man. So I've been seeing the takes, man. So now they want Caitlin Clark to demand a trade, or they want the front office to pick between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White, man. I'm not gonna say I tried to tell y'all, man, but it's just like, I was trying to tell y'all, man, like, Stephanie White is not this god that y'all was making her out to be, man.
This strange, tense energy wasn't just confined to press conferences. It was seeping onto the hardwood and visibly affecting the on-court product. Fans who had paid top dollar to see Clark's signature style, a breathtaking symphony of controlled chaos, logo deep threes, lightning fast transitions, and brilliant no-look passes, were often treated to a completely different brand of basketball. The Fever frequently played a slow, methodical, grinded-out game, a style that felt like putting a speed limiter on a Ferrari. Clark, a player who thrives on pace and creativity, was being asked to fit into a rigid, conventional system that seemed to neutralize her greatest strengths. While some argued it was a necessary part of her professional development, a growing number of astute observers saw something else entirely. They saw a coach unwilling, or perhaps unable, to adapt her established system to a generational talent. It felt less like development and more like containment, a deliberate effort to prove that the coach's system was more important than the superstar. But the more White tried to force Clark into a box, the more obvious it became that Clark's transcendent talent was meant to break it.
I believe it's Ohm, Stephanie, U-P-O-S. Are you kidding me with this? This is her head coach, and this is why I said, and I've said this before, y'all, the Fever went old school WNBA. You cannot trust them. They went old school with their front office. They dialed it all the way back, bringing in Kelly, bringing in Amber. Stephanie is the epitome of old school WNBA. This is a woman married to a man, goes into the WNBA, and is now with a woman. Does that not sound? I mean, I never released a video, but I did it. So for those of you that don't know, real quick, when
this friction is a symptom of a much larger unspoken war raging within the WNBA. A battle between the explosive new wave and the entrenched old guard. For decades, the league operated on a strict, unspoken hierarchy. You came in, you kept your head down, you paid your dues, and you earned respect over years of grueling, thankless work. Then came Caitlin Clark, who didn't just skip the line, she made it completely irrelevant. She became the undisputed face of the league overnight, commanding more attention and media coverage than seasoned veterans and even Hall of Famers. To the old guard, this was sacrilege, a violation of the natural order. Stephanie White, a product of that very system, has become the public symbol of this simmering resentment. Her actions and her words seem to scream a message on behalf of the establishment. You can have the fame and the sold-out arenas, but we still control the game. It's a bitter power struggle played out through rotations and play calls, where a rookie's meteoric rise is viewed not as a blessing for the league, but as a direct threat to the old way of doing things.
Content. So we have Stephanie White addressing Caitlin Clark winning the ESPYs Women Player of the Year award. And you got to understand, Stephanie White, this is very important right here. You can shut down a lot of narratives. You can let the Indiana fan base know you do rock with Caitlin Clark, because as of right now, we don't think you do. You don't want the ball in her hands. You don't talk about her plays. You talk about everybody else except her. Hell, I've seen you talk about Paige Beckers more than Caitlin Clark, and when they played back and forth, and we the ones who won. You have a constant habit of doing this.
The evidence of this internal conflict mounts with every single game. You simply have to watch the sidelines. When a player like Kelsey Mitchell or Aaliyah Boston makes a solid play, Coach White is often animated, clapping enthusiastically and shouting encouragement with genuine passion. Yet, when Clark sinks a jaw-dropping, momentum-shifting three-pointer or makes a spectacular assist that leaves the defense stunned, the reaction is often visibly muted, a polite, almost obligatory clap at best. In post-game interviews, White has developed a pattern of deflecting praise away from Clark. When asked directly about her star rookie's historic performances, she will masterfully pivot, shifting the conversation to the importance of the team, the unsung contributions of veterans, or the challenges of the schedule. It's a subtle but consistent strategy of downplaying the one player everyone is there to see. It projects a bizarre narrative that the team's success is happening in spite of Clark's freewheeling style, not because of it. It's a dangerous game of public relations, and it suggests a coach who isn't just managing a player, but actively trying to manage and perhaps shrink her spotlight.
Accuse, I believe, has dropped out of the 2025 All-Star game, which is crazy in itself, but she has. Now, she did release a post on Instagram as well. Chloe Peterson said, Satu Sabali, who is on Team Clark, says she will not be playing in the All-Star game this weekend.
Unsurprisingly, the fans are not buying it for a second. The same massive audience that Caitlin Clark brought to the WNBA has now become her fiercest and most vocal line of defense. Social media has become a digital battlefield, with fan-made compilation videos of White's dismissive interviews and questionable sideline reactions going viral on a daily basis. The comment sections are a torrent of outrage, with fans accusing the coach of everything from sheer incompetence to outright toxic jealousy. Hashtags calling for White to be fired now trend regularly during Fever games. This isn't just typical fan grumbling, it's a full-blown mutiny. They see a coach who was handed a winning lottery ticket and seems stubbornly determined to rip it up out of spite. Caitlin Clark's fans are fiercely loyal, and they perceive any slight against her as an attack on the progress she represents for the entire sport. Stephanie White isn't just at odds with her player anymore, she's at war with the very fan base her player single-handedly created.
Hi, I'm Stephanie White, head coach of the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, and I'm a complete clown. I'm a clown. That is what I am as a head coach. I am a clown. I am ruining Caitlin Clark. I have no idea what I'm doing as a coach. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've been sent here on a mission to ruin Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, and I think I'm doing a masterful job because I suck. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I actually have no idea how I got this job in the first place.
Ultimately, this simmering drama is far more than just a compelling storyline. It carries a heavy and destructive price. When a coach's ego gets in the way of a player's greatness, everyone involved loses. The risk here is monumental. You risk stunting the growth and confidence of a once-in-a-generation talent by forcing her into a system that suffocates her natural instincts. You risk alienating the millions of new fans who came to see a basketball artist at work, not a grinder in a machine. And most critically, you risk sabotaging the Indiana Fever's one real chance at becoming a powerhouse franchise with lasting financial success and relevance. This is the kind of internal conflict that can rot a team from the inside out, turning a potential dream season into a nightmarish cautionary tale about what happens when leadership fails. The question is no longer if there's a problem, but how much damage will be done before something changes.
Gotta glaze her, but this is the Woman Player of the Year award, and you're the coach. You went out of your way to come to coach her. So I'm expecting you to like really turn up right here and really congratulate Caitlin Clark for going through all that adversity, now the injuries, her getting fouled on a nightly basis, all kinds of things. If you just say all of this, some of the heat will be off you, because it looks to me like you're an agent. It looks to me like you're an agent. You're damn sure about that.
The fallout from this Cold War isn't just limited to Clark. It sends dangerous ripples throughout the entire locker room. When Coach White pointedly praises other players while ignoring Clark, it creates an impossible and toxic dynamic for everyone. Players like Kelsey Mitchell are turned into unwitting pawns in the coach's passive-aggressive game. The praise they receive no longer feels genuine. It feels weaponized. A tool used to subtly jab at the team's biggest star. This forces teammates into an incredibly awkward position. Do they embrace the praise, knowing it's part of a manipulative power play? Or do they downplay their own success to avoid being seen as the coach's pet? This is how team chemistry dies. Instead of fostering a united group chasing a championship, this behavior cultivates division, resentment, and a political minefield where every player has to watch their step. It's not team building, it's team breaking.
Okay, I'm not saying this out of disrespect, okay? I'm not saying this out of disrespect, but I gotta say it. And I know I'm not the only guy that feels this way. Man, Stephanie White's kind of bad, bro. Look. I seen her on the press conference the other day. I'm like, she kind of bad. She's kind of bad, but
To understand why this is happening, you have to ask a fundamental question. What is Stephanie White's ultimate goal? Is it to win games, or is it to be seen as the reason for winning? All signs point to the latter. Her actions suggest a desperate attempt to control the narrative of her own legacy. She wants the story of the Indiana Fever's resurgence to be about her, the master architect who built a contender. Caitlin Clark's overwhelming, God-given talent completely shatters that narrative. If the team succeeds purely on the back of Clark's brilliance, then White is just a lucky bystander who happened to be there. This is unacceptable for a coach who craves credit. So the only solution is to coach Clark down, to rein her in and prove that the team wins because of her system, not because of one player's genius. It's a battle for credit, and in this battle, White is willing to risk losses on the court to secure a win for her own ego. The evidence is laid bare for all to see. The dismissive press conference, the conflicting ideologies on the court, the perceived favoritism on the sidelines, and the roaring disapproval from the stands. It all paints a deeply troubling picture of a professional relationship that is at best deeply fractured and at worst actively hostile. We are left to wonder about the true motives driving this entire saga. Is Stephanie White a misunderstood strategist, a tough coach playing a long game to build a more resilient and balanced team that we just can't see yet? Or is she something far more dangerous? An insecure gatekeeper so threatened and blinded by the brilliant light of her own rookie that she's willing to dim that shine, even if it means plunging her own team and a hopeful league right back into the darkness.